It took 30 home games at the Big A, but the Angels finally have a home series win in 2024. We'll discuss a thrilling 4-2 victory over the Padres on tonight's edition of the Locked On Angels Postcast.
You are Locked On Angels Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Los Angeles, on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Just like the intro told you, this is the Locked On Angels Postcast coming at you live, as always, on the Locked On Los Angeles YouTube channel. And the Angels have done it. They've finally done it. It took all of May and early June, but the Angels pick up a home series victory thanks to a 4-2 victory over the San Diego Padres. There's still a whole nother game left in this series. That's right, the Angels with a 2-0 series lead. Who would have thought? Hello, Halo Nation. Hello, Halo hopefuls. I am Gavin Carlson. As always, shout out to everybody in here. Anaheim Angel letting us know, awesome back-to-back wins and a series win at home. And Nick King says, Tuesday W. That's right. Somehow, some way, the Angels have won 2 straight games at home. Somehow, some way, a good start from Patrick Sandoval at home. And somehow, some way, the other team, not our Angels, the other team, with costly mistakes to blow the game. On today's show, we will discuss that 7th inning, and more specifically, that 2-run double from Zach Neto. Was it a misplay by Profar in left field? Would it have been a double nonetheless? We will get into that. We will also discuss a perfect, not quite, but nearly perfect start from Patrick Sandoval in this one, and how he suddenly turned things around at home now in back-to-back starts. And then we'll just talk a little bit more about multiple blunders from the Padres that gave our Angels an assist in this one. But before we do any of that, a quick shout out to today's sponsor, eBay Motors. From brakes to exhaust kits and beyond, eBay Motors has over 122 million parts to keep your ride or die alive. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to bring home that big win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply. eBay guaranteed fit, only available to U.S. customers. And shout out, as always, to Daniel, who is in here as well. You know, if you watched the postcast yesterday and if you got to the end, you saw my Wi-Fi started to freak out towards the end of the video. My face was a little glitchy. First off, sorry about that. You know, sometimes Wi-Fi just does what it does, even with the Ethernet cable. But secondly, and more importantly, I think the Angels broke my Ethernet cable and my Wi-Fi, because they surprised everybody by winning the series opener yesterday, and they've surprised everybody once again by making it 2 straight. And it seems like every Angel game lately has gone the exact same way. You get 6 innings of lightning speed baseball. I wish my connection was as lightning quick as the games have been for the Angels, at least in the first 6 innings, because whether it's the Angel starter, whether it's a Tyler Anderson, or it's a Patrick Sandoval like tonight, and whoever the Angels face on the other side, you can almost guarantee that we are going to get a rapid, fast first 6 innings that take just over an hour, make it seem like it's going to be a 2-hour baseball game. And because the Angels have 2 to 3 hits through the first 6 innings, regardless of what the other team does. That's how it was in every single game in the Seattle series. Now, of course, we expected that. Seattle, a great pitching rotation, and we know how bad the Angels lineup is. But tonight, we got another one of those games where the first 6 innings had just about nothing going on. Let's be honest. Just 2 runs combined, 1-1, both coming in the 3rd inning. And so that's why I'm going to jump straight to the 7th, like I've done in the last few postcasts, because it feels like the game always starts in the 7th inning. And that's exactly what happened tonight. In the 7th inning of this one, after Sandoval had done his job already, after the Padres rookie, who, poor guy, I mean, to some degree, bro, in his major league debut, does not get a win for that performance. Pretty shocking. But we jump to the 7th inning, the bottom of the 7th inning, and that's where a 1-1 tie was broken by our Angels. And it started with, first, the pitching change, Matsui coming in for Adam Mazur, who had a great debut, and Willie Calhoun, a leadoff walk. Then, I feel like we've said this a couple times recently, Calhoun on base, Cole Tucker pinch running. I feel like that's happened multiple times. And so, one on, a speedy runner in Cole Tucker. I guess the only reason he's still up on the Angels at this point, because we know we can't do anything else. But Tucker on first, no outs. And for the second time in this game, we had a ground ball. Looks like it's going to be an out at first on Ohapi. And for the second time, the Angels win the challenge. This time a bad throw pulled the first baseman off the bag, and we are able to get that call overturned. So now we've got 2 on and nobody out. Joe Adell comes up, just 3 of his last 45. 3 of his last 45 coming into this one, but he is walked, and that's all the Padres wanted to see from Matsui, rightfully so, because a 4-pitch walk to Joe Adell, a 4-pitch walk puts Adell on, and suddenly the bases are loaded with nobody out. So Matsui comes out, De Los Santos comes in, and this is something I want to ask you guys in the comment section. Please, as always, leave a comment, leave a like, all that good stuff. Tell me what your opinion on this was, because the Angels radio announcers were trying to say that this was a mistake by the Padres here, because the plan was for a lefty to come in, and the lefty was already in, excuse me, and so the plan was for Kevin Pillar to come pinch hit for Mickey Moniak, right? Much better hitter against lefties, bases loaded, nobody out, huge, biggest at-bat of the game, get Kevin Pillar in there, absolutely. But because the Padres announced that they were going to a righty out of the bullpen, making the change before the Angels officially announced the pinch hit with Pillar coming in for Moniak, the Angels don't have to make the change. And so the righty comes in, De Los Santos comes in for the Padres, and Mickey Moniak is able to stay in the game. Now, here's the debate. The announcers were saying, oh, that's just a complete mistake. As someone who's watched this game, or this team every game, just like all of you, and just like the announcers, ironically, I think this was the Padres saying, wait, I'd rather face Mickey Moniak than Kevin Pillar. I don't care if it's a righty against a lefty. I would rather face Mickey Moniak with a righty than Kevin Pillar with a lefty or righty, right? Because if they handled it correctly, what should have happened is the Angels should have brought in Pillar in, then the Padres would have made the change, right? And then it would have been Pillar against a righty. But because, like I said, they didn't do it correctly, Moniak's able to stay in. I think it was on purpose. And Nick King says, Moniak might as well have struck out, lol. Yeah, exactly. He did nothing. The point was my opinion was proven correct, whether it is true or not. My theory was proven correct because Moniak against a righty, surprise, surprise, it's still not going to result in anything, folks. It's still Mickey Moniak, and with that amazing 67.8 exit velo on a dribbler to first base, the Padres get the force out at first. Right? Like, I think it was intentional. I think they can act like it was a mistake all you want, but I think it was intentional. Not to mention, then a righty comes up. So, Zach Neto comes up with 1 out, and the base is loaded, and I'm thinking, here we go. Typical Angels. Runners in scoring position, not able to handle it. Small ball, all the way back in the Guardians series, I was telling you why the Guardians are what the Angels should be, a team with a superstar or two, and then a bunch of guys that know timely hitting and no situational hitting. And Mickey Moniak doesn't know situational hitting. He hits the ball 5 feet with the bases loaded and nobody out. And I'm thinking, oh gosh, Zach Neto, who we know he has struggled offensively, another young guy, inexperienced. How is he going to handle 1 out with the bases loaded? I'm not going to lie. I was thinking this feels like a ground ball, double play opportunity, and it's whether or not Zach Neto beats it out that's going to determine if the Angels get a run. But instead, the play of the game, and another play that's going to have a lot of debate to it, at least in my opinion, Zach Neto rips a ball, the 4th pitch of the at-bat, after falling behind 0-2 in the count, swinging on the first 2. He was aggressive. I think they said coming into this one, he was 3 for 8 in his career with the bases loaded. So an aggressive hitter with the bases loaded, wanted to keep that hot streak going. He swings at the first 2, then takes the ball in the dirt, and on 1 and 2, he gets a slider just outside, and he rips it. 104.4 exit velo. The distance here on MLB.com says 343 feet on a line drive to left field. But if you're watching the game, you don't need me to tell you. If you weren't, I will. This is all Profar in left field. This is all Profar blowing it in left field, in my opinion. And I don't know if Profar would have caught it. I don't know. He was already playing extremely shallow because if there's a ground ball or if there's a shallow bloop hit, they want to be able to get the ball in quickly. Clearly, they're disrespecting Zach Neto playing the left fielder in that much. But even with him in that much, I think if he immediately starts running back, he has an opportunity for a running catch. And sure, a run would have scored anyways. It would have been a sac fly. Unlike Moniak, Neto is able to actually have a productive hit regardless, hits it deep enough into left field. But Profar takes a step in on contact, not a step back. And then that 104.4 exit velo floats over Profar's head in left field. And what maybe, I don't know, you tell me if you disagree with me. I think if Profar makes the right jump, he's immediately out. Or not immediately out. He makes the play, and it's just a sac fly. But because he doesn't, it is a 2-run double for our Angels. So you tell me what you think in the comments. Would that have been a catch if Profar made the right read right away? Would it have only been 1 run? And would this game have looked a lot differently? Because we'll get to after the break what happened. The Angels got another run in this inning we'll get to after the break. And then they ended up giving a run. So if it was only a sac fly from Neto here, if Profar plays that correctly, and the Angels maybe only get 1 run this inning, it's 2-1 instead of 4-1. And then when the Padres score their second run in the 8th, it would have been a tie game. So huge pivotal mistake by Profar. Nick says, I thought he was going to make the play for sure. I think so too. Nick. I think if he jumps back, I think he gets it. I think he does. But he did not. Stegoboy W, welcome back as always. Really appreciate you for always being in there as well. He says, Gavin, this was one of the best games I've been to. The crowd was electric, was super crowded. Also, Neto deserves an all-star spot. Wow. So you were there at the game. Nice. Love to hear it. I still haven't made it out this season. With this job, actually, I cannot because I got to be live right after the game. But who knows? Maybe I can make an agreement one day, go to the game, maybe meet some of you guys, and then come back and just do the show a little bit later. But shout out to you for being at the game. I'm glad it was one of the best ones. It was certainly a fun game to watch. Even though, like I said, the first 6 innings were minimal excitement per usual, there was actually more in this game. The earlier challenge overturn, couple interesting double plays from the Padres and whatnot. I thought it was as fun as a game could be for 1-1, to be honest. But with all that being said, we'll take our first break here on the Locked On Angels Postcast. Angels 4, Padres 2. The Angels jump out to a 2-0 series lead over San Diego, and the Angels have their first home series win in 2024. It only took 30 games, folks, but they got it done. We'll take our first break, and when we come back, I'll finish telling you about the 7th inning and the other costly mistake. You thought Profar's mistake was bad. Just wait till you hear how the Angels picked up their 3rd run of the inning. I'll tell you about that. I'll tell you how the bullpen almost blew it but wrapped it up, and I'll talk about that stellar start from Patrick Sandoval. We'll get to all of that after the break here on the Locked On Angels Postcast. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. I'm trying to time it with the banner there. Hope you like that little creative production value. But FanDuel, it's winner take all time in the NBA and NHL, and FanDuel's giving you a shot to bring home a big win of your own. Now, I say it every time I talk about FanDuel. I am the #1 advocate of fantasy sports, of betting on sports. Please do it responsibly. Please, please, please. Even coming into this game, we'll learn more about the Padres and their betting issues. MLB really going through it right now. But as long as you're responsible, you're not in the league, you can do whatever you want. So I highly recommend FanDuel because they have the best lines, the best interface, and they have great promos such as this one. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. Let me say it again. That's $150 to bet on spreads, money lines, player props, and more. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and make every playoff shot count. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. That's right. That's right. Once again, you're listening to Locked On Angels Postcast. Angels 4, Padres 2. The Angels have won 2 games in a row. The Angels weren't the one to make the foolish mistakes. and the Angels are up 2-0 in a series. The Angels have a home series win. What is going on? I don't know. Once again, shout out to everybody in here. Sega Boy with a couple more comments. He says, nothing beats Disney fireworks and a win on the way home. Absolutely. That's right. I forgot fireworks. They got a lot of stuff going this week. I know Friday is the Mike Trout bobblehead. Hopefully you and others are able to get your hands on that because that's pretty darn cool. And Sega Boy also says, lol, also Ron Washington shaking his head at these dumbass calls. Yeah, there was quite a few. Balls at the knees continue to be a hotly contested issue for the Angels in recent games. Sometimes they're strikes when the Angels are hitting. Sometimes they're balls when the Angels are pitching. A lot of balls at the knees being called strikes and whatnot in recent games. But yeah, Ron Washington is a fun guy to watch. We'll leave it at that. He seems calm at times, but he will give you some reactions, and it's fun. What else is fun is the Angels winning, and I have to finish telling you about how it happened because we already talked about the huge Zach Neto 2 RBI double. Was it a mistake from Profar? Yes. Would it have resulted in a sac fly instead of a 2 RBI double? I think so. So did Nick. You tell me what you think. But because it was not a sac fly, there are not 2 outs. Instead, there is just 1 out. And so, even though Luis Guillermo grounds out following the Neto double play, there's still another at-bat in the inning, and the Angels receive another gift. And whether Profar's was really a gift, it was still a ball hit 104 miles an hour off the bat to left field. Still a great piece of hitting it with 2 strikes from Zach Neto. I'm not going to say that's a gift. But what I will say is a gift is De Los Santos throwing one in the dirt. Not like anything abnormal. We've seen this ball blocked a million times, but it gets by the catcher. And I don't know if they've ruled it a pass ball yet, but I think that's a pass ball. I know that it won't be ruled one probably, but I think, in my opinion, that's a pass ball. It, like, in the essence of the call, it is a mistake from the catcher. All right, they're of course going to call it a wild pitch. That's what it says. But in my opinion, that's a mistake by the catcher on a ball that very easily, if the catcher just stays grounded, they should be able to make that play. But they do not. The ball skips away, and in comes Mickey Moniak on base despite not deserving it at all. But because of that, in what could have been 2-1, could have just been a sac fly, instead is a double and then a wild pitch run, and it's suddenly 4-1 Angels. And how big were those runs? Because the Angels are never going to keep things boring. They're only going to keep things boring if they get blown out. But if they are winning, they're never going to keep things boring. We had the closest thing to that yesterday with a beautiful 1-2-3 save from Estevez. But here, in the top of the 8th, Luis Garcia comes in for Matt Moore, who, by the way, Matt Moore did not look great again. I know he ended up getting 3 straight flyouts, but a leadoff walk to Hae-Sung Kim. I don't know. He ends up picking up the win, which is ironic. The ERA is still well over 5.5, but he picks up the win. So good for Matt Moore. Maybe mentally that can turn things around for him because he's one of the guys that the Angels need to trade for something at the deadline. But we go to the top of the 8th, and Luis Garcia comes in, and Luis Garcia struggles pretty seriously, at least at first. Gives off a leadoff single to Fernando Tatis. 2 balls inside to start the at-bat, to start his appearance. And then he gets a low strike, and then he hangs a sinker. You don't hang it, but he threw a sinker right down the middle. And Tatis, who had quite the game, who, is really starting to look more and more like himself slowly, he leads off the 8th with a single, but there's plenty more of that because then after the Tatis single, Manny Machado, who had the RBI in this one earlier in the game, he singles. Profar, maybe he was still thinking about that mistake in left field, but Garcia is able to strike him out. Machado does steal second. Tatis gets to third, or Tatis got to third earlier. But now you've got second and third with 1 out, and Garcia gets a huge strikeout on Donovan Solano, a huge strikeout where there's nothing but strikes, long at bat, 4 foul balls in a row before a called strike 3 on a pitch right down the middle. But then Jake Cronenworth gets one back for the Padres. And probably deserved. Anytime you have 2 guys on and nobody out when you're the Angels, I'm not liking your chances of leaving the inning without a run. And surely enough, Garcia falls behind 3-0 to Cronenworth, and then he throws a sinker down the middle. He got it to 3-1, but then he throws a sinker down the middle again. And just like with Tatis and Machado, Cronenworth singles, and suddenly the Padres get one back and cut it to 4-2. I've already said it a million times why, thank goodness, the top or the bottom of the seventh went the way it did, so that one run in the eighth was not costly. And then what happens, and what in my opinion should have happened, instead of Garcia even coming in this game, is we got Hunter Strickland in. And surprise, surprise, Strickland does the job. Now, albeit in a full count, wasn't easy, but with runners on the corners and 2 outs and you coming in the game, it should not be easy. But Strickland's able to get out of this one thanks to a full count 3-2 pitch slider up and away that Kim pops out, and Strickland does his job. And Strickland continues to do his job. He's 19 of his last 20 innings, he has not allowed an earned run. So Hunter Strickland is about as locked down as it gets. The ERA, I think it's probably below 1.7 at this point. I can check that in a second. I can check right now, actually. Strickland with a 1.73 ERA, because, of course, it was only a third of an inning. But, yeah, Strickland, I think he should have came in instead of Garcia in the first place. I don't know if Ron Washington sees 3 runs and acts like it's a 10-run lead because he's so not used to this team having a 3-run lead. But Strickland should be the setup guy. He should be the guy when you're in a close game and you have the lead and you need someone to do the job in the 8th inning to set up Estevez in the 9th. It should be Strickland, not Garcia. And it ended up being Strickland in this one, getting Kim to pop out. And then we'll just fast forward to the top of the 9th, and suddenly Carlos Estevez is starting to heat up. Back-to-back saves, back-to-back 1-2-3 ninth innings. He was the player that they were interviewing on the radio broadcast after the game, and he was just, he ironically said, I haven't had many opportunities to get saves. Well, to be fair, Mr. Carlos Estevez, even if you were having the opportunities, I don't know how confident anyone would have been in your ability to get those saves, but it's true. 2 save opportunities for Estevez. He hasn't had them in a while, and he got them both done. So 1-2-3 inning for Estevez, and the Angels escape with a 4-2 victory. We're going to take our last break here on the Locked On Angels Postcast. The Angels have won 2 games in a row, folks. Pop the champagne, pop a cold one, go celebrate. I don't care if it's Tuesday night. I don't care if it's 9:44. It's 5 o'clock somewhere when the Angels win a home baseball game, and now 2 in a row. When we come back from the break, we'll talk about Patrick Sandoval's start, because none of this would have been possible without another great home start from Patrick Sandoval. Who would have thought I would say that? Another, as if it's something we see very often. Another great start from Patrick Sandoval at home. 2 in a row for him. We'll talk about that start and why that was key for the Angels to pick up the victory after we take our last break on the Locked On Angels Postcast. Once again, today's show is brought to you by eBay Motors. That's right. Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time, or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. eBay Motors. We are back here on the Locked On Angels Postcast. Angels 4, Padres 2, thanks to a 2 RBI double from Zach Neto to kick off a 3-run 7th inning, but also thanks to, and it's unfortunate that he won't get a result in this one, thanks to another great start from Patrick Sandoval at home. Who would have thought I'd say that? Because just 2 home starts ago, Patrick Sandoval had me livid. The most heated I've ever been in a postcast, because he was awful. He was negative. You know, I was yelling because in the first inning, even on a strikeout looking, he looked grumpy because it was a missed location. Stop being so hard on yourself and just go out and throw pitches. And in the last 2 outings from Patrick Sandoval, we have seen that. In this one, 6 innings pitched, just 4 hits, just 1 walk, 7 strikeouts, and just 1 earned run back in the 3rd inning. And I don't know if you guys picked up on this, but personally, he just looks more comfortable. He looks more confident. This is a guy, we know he's got a temper to some degree. We know he gets emotional on the mound, and I'm not against that. I'm all for a guy being emotional, all right? Growing up in the Bay Area, following the Giants, it was Brian Wilson and that beard and that scream, right? I like guys like that who are going to be aggressive and confident on the mound, but that doesn't mean you can lose your cool. And that's happened too often for Patrick Sandoval. But tonight, granted, he did not have a ton to lose his cool about, but still very resilient against a great Padres lineup. Let me remind you, if you didn't listen yesterday, the Padres, the best hitting team in all of baseball, the best average in all of baseball. But why? Because of their road average. At home, hitting in the 220s, 26th in Major League Baseball. But on the road, 295. 295, by far the best in Major League Baseball. And so it's what made Tyler Anderson's outing so great yesterday, and it's what made Patrick Sandoval's outing so great today against a lineup that also, by the way, Tyler Anderson didn't have to deal with this yesterday, but Luis Arias was back. And it did not matter. Arias 0 for 4. 0 for 4 for Luis Arias. How often do you say that? How often do you say that for a guy hitting 335, right? So they're able to keep him off the bases. Well, he did get on the bases, but they're able to keep him off the hit column. Tatis went 2 for 3. Machado went 3 for 4. Profar with the hit. But other than that, it was just that Cronenworth RBI in the 8th inning. And mind you, that 8th inning had a Tatis hit, a Machado hit, and a Profar hit. So 3 of the hits coming in that 8th. That's why Sandoval only gave up 4. Just 4 hits. Only one coming in the 3rd inning. And I don't know if this is something that he can keep going. I'll be honest, because it's been so shaky for him. But what's giving me some confidence is, even though the fastball is still not great, it's still not great. And it scares me if you don't trust your fastball and if you're throwing first pitch curveballs and first pitch changeups. But it looks like he's accepted it a little bit. He's like, I'm just going to go out there and throw first pitch curveballs at the letters to Mr. Kim, or I'm going to throw first pitch changeups against Luis Arias. And then I'll work in the fastball, but I'm not going to force it, and I'm not going to be frustrated. I'm just going to accept the fact that it's not working. That feels like what's going on for Patrick Sandoval. And I'll remind you, in case you forgot, this was not the first game that he's looked good. In his last outing against a just as good New York Yankees lineup, he was great. He was great. I know, like, maybe the stat line's not going to say he was as amazing. 2 earned runs. He did give up a home run. I believe that one was against Judge. He did have 3 walks, but 7 strikeouts in that one. Just 2 hits. Just 2 hits. 3 walks hurts, but 2 hits against the Yankees is great in 6 innings. And he responds with a nearly identical start. 6 innings again, just 4 hits, 1 earned run, 1 walk, and the hit by pitch. But 7 strikeouts as well, by the way. I'll say it one more time. But really proud of Patrick Sandoval. Maybe he can string a couple of these together. He's gotten over some demons in terms of being horrible at home. We know how bad he's been at home. I think the record, because he did not win, will still be like 6-24 or something like that at home. But you don't care. You care about the results, or you don't care about the results in terms of the box score. You care about the process, and the process was on point for Patrick Sandoval tonight. One more time, shout out to everybody in here. Anaheim Angel says, I was sweating bullets in that 8th inning. Wish Sandy got the win, though. I totally agree. Right on cue. Perfect timing. Think Sandy needs the win because he had a great start in the Yankees game, and he, of course, did not get a win for that. And he had a great start today, and he did not get the win for this one as well. To be fair, the Padres starting pitcher making his Major League debut pitched a gem as well, and he doesn't get a win either. So baseball is a cruel sport. You hit the ball 380 feet in some places in the ballpark, and it doesn't go out. And sometimes you allow 1 run in 6 innings, and you don't get the win. And that's what both starting pitchers had to deal with tonight. So baseball is a cruel game, but it's a game that the Angels are suddenly, at least the last 2 days, playing a little bit better. Nick King says, Luis Arias really scared me. I thought he would stomp Sandoval. Ironic you say that, because I will mention my prize pick slip. I always do. We lost again today, because I actually went against Patrick Sandoval. I had Patrick Sandoval to record less than 17.5 outs. Of course, 18 outs is 6 innings. And what does Mr. Sandoval do? He pitches 6 innings. Literally 18 outs when I needed him to have 17 or less. But I'm not complaining, because, hey, if I was betting on my starting pitcher for my favorite team to do poorly and he didn't, I'm not going to complain at all. So that didn't hit. But the reason I brought it up is because I had Arias to have a base hit in this one. I had Arias, Profar to each have hits, and Sandoval to have under 18 outs. And ironically, the other part hit because Profar did get a hit, but Arias did not get a hit despite that amazing batting average, and Sandoval outperformed my expectations, but I'm not complaining about that. But yes, shout out to everybody in here one more time, specifically the people leaving the comments. As always, my regular crew at this point: Anaheim Angel, Nick King, Daniel Barry, and Sega Boy W. Nick King says, what a line at 17 and a half outs. Yeah, for real. Shows how good they are at setting those things. 17 and a half, and the best part is at 17, there was a mound visit. At 17, there was a mound visit, and there was questions about whether or not Sandy was going to get. You know what? I'm going to go look at that just because I feel like it. I'm going to go to that final fifth inning, excuse me. I'm trying to remember, or that sixth inning. Yeah, he had got Tatis on a strikeout and he Machado fly out. Then the Profar single, he walks Donovan Solano, and people are thinking, all right, a single and a walk, maybe it's time for Sandy to sit down, and that would have been 17 outs instead of 18. But they leave him in for Cronenworth, and a really good at bat, a bunch of foul balls, and eventually Cronenworth sits down. So yeah, they hit that line on the dot, Nick King. Yes, they did. IV, I don't know if it's LV or IV. I think it's IV. Actually, I don't know. I don't know what the font's on YouTube, but he says sweep coming in tomorrow, question mark. I don't know. I don't want to get ahead of myself, to be honest. We hadn't even gotten an Angels series win at home. Now we're talking about the sweep. I don't know. Real quick, I'll pull up the probable pitchers for tomorrow because I do not know who the Padres are supposed to have on the mound. I know the Angels are supposed to have Jose Soriano. Okay, it's Dylan Cease for the Padres. If you don't know about Baseball Savant, I love Baseball Savant. It tells you everything you need to know about the pitchers coming into this one. Just 4 plate appearances for the Padres' current roster against Jose Soriano, and they have 2 hits. So a .667 batting average against Soriano, but come on, 4 plate appearances. Yeah, right. IV letting me know it's IV. Shout out to that. I got it now, and I will never forget that. It's IV. I got you. But back to the sweep, back to previewing tomorrow. Dylan Cease against the Angels roster. 30 plate appearances. The Angels hitting .296. He strikes out, or they strike out 26.7% of the time and walk 7% of the time. We'll talk about it more tomorrow, of course, because as always, after every single Angel game, I will be here. But Dylan Cease looks like he's handled most of the Angels lineup. Willie Calhoun, 1 for 7. Rengifo, 2 for 5. Oh, Matt Tice, 3 for 5. I don't want to say Tice. I know it's Tice. He's 3 for 5. Taylor Ward, 1 for 5. Mickey Moniak, 1 for 3. Joe Adell, 0 for 2. So those are some of the career numbers against Dylan Cease. We'll see. We'll see. Doesn't look awful. Doesn't look amazing. The Padres haven't seen Jose Soriano very much. So who knows? Who knows? Should I call my shot right now? Should I do it? Should I do it? I'll do it. And you know what? I'm going to say, I don't want to be a pessimist here, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to say the Padres are going to win this one. I'm just tomorrow a little bit scared of Soriano. We know what he does. He throws that amazing sinker, that amazing heater in the zone, and he sees what can happen. But Tatis, Machado, Arias, those feel like the type of guys that if they see a sinker at the belt, they're going to crush it and damage Soriano. So hopefully not. Hopefully I'm wrong. I've certainly been wrong in the past. If you check my prize pick slip, I'm wrong almost every time. But you know who was right tonight? Zach Neto, Patrick Sandoval, and the Angels. Angels 4, Padres 2. The Angels jump out to a 2-0 series lead against the Padres, pick up their first home series win of 2024. And what else do I need to say to leave you off on a good note? I'm Gavin Carlson. This is the Locked On Angels Postcast. Leave a like, leave a comment, let me know how I'm doing. Subscribe to the channel. Nick King says, hoping to see Ben Joyce tomorrow. That's right, he is up because Reed Detmers is down. Maybe we will see Ben Joyce tomorrow. That would be fun. But above all, maybe we see a sweep. Gosh, how good would that feel? As always, I'll be back tomorrow after the game, hopefully breaking down a sweep, hopefully breaking down another win. But nonetheless, I will be there on the Locked On Los Angeles YouTube channel live after every game. So, Gavin Carlson signing off, Halo Nation, and I'll see you tomorrow. Go Angels.